What's up everyone? Today we're going to walk you through a full tutorial on Phrozen Mega AK and share the most critical printing tips to help you succeed in 3D printing. These tips and tricks are going to help you increase the average lifespan of your printer and avoid damaging parts like the LCD and the PFA. Most importantly, it'll reduce waste and costs on resins and your precious time. We'll start from learning about the printing environment and choosing a 3D print. Second, preparing beforehand. Third, Phrozen XP Finder to find the best resin parameters. Fourth, slicing 3D models tips and tricks. Fifth, 3D printing tips and tricks. Sixth, post-processing and curing. Last but not least, maintenance. The ideal printing space should have a good airflow and the ambient temperature is around 22 degrees Celsius. We'll be using our newest resin, Aqua Grey AK, to print Onikuma designed by our lovely friend Lucas Kunka. The base and the main body of Onikuma will be printed on the same building plate in one go. Before we jump into printing, make sure the printer is placed on a sturdy flat surface and avoids direct sunlight. You'll need about 3 to 4 bottles of resin, some 95% IPA, paper towels, some cloths, and a clean tray for the printed models. The metal scraper that came with the toolbox is also helpful for removing prints from the plate, and the plastic scraper is a gentle tool for cleaning the vat. You can also use the funnel and some paper filters to recycle the leftover resin after each print. Please make sure your gloves, masks, and goggles are always in place during the entire printing process. The printing parameters will need to be adjusted depending on your ambient temperatures. Therefore, we will suggest you to find the optimal exposure time using the Phrozen XP Finder. Step 1. Download the XP Finder STL file in the description box below. Step 2. Refer to our resin profile and start printing with our suggested parameters. Step 3. Compare the differences of the XP Finders and adjust the parameters if necessary. If the texts are a bit puffy, then you can reduce the exposure time. On the other hand, if the texts are hardly visible, then increasing the exposure time would be a good idea. If the ambient temperature is below 20 degrees Celsius, we would suggest you to increase the bottom and normal layer exposure time for better printing results. There are multiple factors that can affect the print result, so make sure you run a few test prints to find the best parameters. Check out our Help Center for more information. Note down the settings on the back of the XP Finder and save it for later. When printing larger models that are over 30 centimeters, you'll need to increase the exposure time as well. For example, if the model is 3 times larger than the original size, we would suggest you to increase the bottom layer exposure times by 3 seconds increments, and increase the normal layer exposure times by 0.3 seconds increments. Now that we have an idea of the printing parameters, we can start slicing the STL file in Chitubox 1.9.0 or above, or other slicers that you prefer. Import the STL files and place them in the blue square, which resembles the size of the building plate. During the printing process, we'll need around 3 bottles of resins, and the printed model will be around 1 kilogram. The model will be on the heavier side comparing to printing with smaller printers, so we'll show you some tips to prevent printing failures. First, hollow the model will reduce weight and the amount of resin used. Second, add some holes on the bottom or anywhere that will not affect the appearance of the model. Third, tilt the model and add support on the back, so the front side of the model will be free from support. Fourth, add more supports if needed to withstand the weight of large models, and choose cube as the shape of the raft. As you can see in the video, resin will flow through the holes on the building plate. Comparing to skate raft, cube raft allows resin to flow back to the vat easier and more evenly. In the end, it will be more likely to speed up the whole printing process. We'll be using Aqua Grey AK and the parameter from the XP Finder we tested earlier. And like we mentioned, the larger the model size, the longer the exposure time needs to be. The sliced file can be sent to the printer by network sending or saved in the USB drive. Connect the USB drive to your printer to start printing. Now that we're almost ready to print, make sure the building plate does not have any resin residue from the previous print. Make sure the LCD and the vat are super duper clean before the installment. Shake the resin bottles for about 30 seconds to a minute and pour about 1.5 bottles of resin until it reaches the maximum line. Now, we're ready to print. Close the chamber to avoid excessive light source. Check the print and add more resin when the building plate lifts up to make sure we don't run out of resin. Close the chamber and keep printing. The total printing time is 36.5 hours. Voila! The print is complete and you only use about a bottle of resin. The rest of the resin in the vat can be filtered and saved for the next print. Have a tray ready when you are removing the building plate. It can be quite heavy, so be careful and make sure not to leak any resin outside of the vat. Place the longer side of the vat on the table and use a metal scraper to gently remove the print. The tip of the support can be quite sharp, so please be extra cautious and don't hurt yourself. Grab a plastic bucket or any container that's bigger than the printed model and fill it with 95% IPA to gently clean the model inside out. Once it's all cleaned and dried, we will cure it with Phrozen Mega for around 30 minutes. Last but not least, this cure beam comes in handy for hollowed models. It prevents the model from cracking by making sure every corner of the model is fully cured. If you're planning to use the same resin for your next print, hit back cleaning to make sure there are no pure resin residue in the vat. Here's a little tip. Fold a piece of paper in half and place half of it in the corner of the vat. Click on Tool and hit back cleaning. Set it to 20 seconds and you'll hear a beep sound when it's completed. Here comes the fun part. Simply lift the other half of the paper and the cured piece of resin will come right off. If there are any broken pieces left in the vat, please pour off the resin and make sure there are no cured resin residue in the vat. Put it on the tray and avoid dripping resin on the printer. When cleaning the building plate, use some clean paper towels to wipe the entire plate. Then immerse the building plate in a bucket filled with 95% IPA for an hour. Remove the plate from the bucket and wipe off any excess IPA and make sure there are no pure resin in the holes. To summarize the tutorial, first, you'll need to choose the type of resin and the print file. Second, prepare the materials you may need for printing. Third, use the Phrozen XP Finder to find the best printing parameters. Fourth, use our tips such as hollow the model, add thick supports, and use cube graft. Fifth, for post-processing, use a large container to clean the model. Sixth, use a cure beam to cure the inside of the model. Lastly, properly cleaning the vat and the building plate. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to our channel and our social media. See you next time!